Hello, this is Chala Dincoy. Welcome to another edition of Polish My Pitch, the deep dive. We have today our guest, Chris Dayley, and we're going to deep dive into his business and find out within 20 minutes what he's all about and what he does to help people make more money. Chris, why don't you tell us what you do?
So my company is called Smart CRO. We do conversion rate optimization for businesses. So what I do is I help companies make up to 30% more revenue through their websites by doing A/B testing. So what I am all about is finding out what do companies, customers need to see in order to convert on a website.
You know, the first time that I met you, I said, you look like you're about to work out. Maybe it's my I just miss working out, but you're so young to be doing this and to have so much success. Why don't you tell us about, how you got into this?
Yeah, so my first job actually was I was doing sales for a digital marketing company. I was selling search engine optimization, SEO. This was about 11 years ago. And I got really interested in what I was selling in digital marketing. And I was like, you know what, I kind of want to try this out. So I applied and got a job doing SEO, search engine optimization, which is all about getting traffic to your website. It's like, let's get ranked on Google so that we can get traffic to our website. And I did that for a couple of years. And I eventually went into a meeting with the CEO to kind of present the results that we had generated through SEO. So I went in with this awesome deck and I was showing all these graphs, and we had tripled our organic traffic in 6 months, which I'm like 300% increase. That's so awesome. And when I got to the end of my presentation, the CEO was like, well, that's cool to get that much traffic. So what? Like, what did that mean for our business?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, I don't know. Like, it was a lot of traffic though. And so I started digging in and realized that even though we had tripled our traffic, we had only slightly increased our revenue.
Right.
And that was really concerning to me. And so I'm like, well, what's going on here? How do we get these people to convert? I got all these people to the site. How do we get them to convert? And no one at the company I was at could tell me. The designers didn't know what we could do differently because their designs all looked amazing. And the developers didn't know because the site wasn't broken. And so from an outsider perspective, there was nothing wrong with our website. And so this is when I discovered conversion rate optimization, which is what I do now. I did some searches on Google, found out that you can run an A/B test on your website. So you can split traffic, make a change, and then see how that change performs against your current site. So I went in and created my first test. I had no idea what I was doing, but I created another version of our homepage where I changed a few things, ran the test, split the traffic between the two variations, and the variation that I built increased conversion rates by more than 10%. And so as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Not only did we quickly increase conversion rates, but I don't even know why. Like, why did that work? Right?
Wow.
Like, what was it about this change that resonated with our audience? And as soon as I asked that question, I was hooked on what I do now, because the truth was, when I showed our winning design to our design team, they said, oh, we can't put that up on the site. No one's going to buy. And I said, well, guess what? I tested it and people bought more. And so it was counterintuitive. The change that we made was not something that you would immediately assume would work better. And so that's when I just really got fascinated with trying to figure out what is it that makes people purchase? What is it that makes people sign up? What is it that they need to see? And so I've spent the last about 7 years developing a process to get results like that every time.
But do you find that they're all like, is it a formula? Like, if I just use the same formula for any industry, it's going to work?
Yes, for sure. So I'll just kind of tell you what my simple 3-step formula is. Okay. Step 1 of my formula, and this is what I do with every client. Step 1, I call the existence phase of testing. So in the existence phase, what we want to do is we want to challenge everything we have on our website. Or in other words, we want to go in and remove things from our site and see what happens. So if I go into your website I just got off the phone with one of my clients, and we were looking at their homepage, and I said, guess what? We're going to have one version of your site where we remove your hero banner. And everyone freaks out and goes, removing our hero banner, you can't do that to the homepage. And then I show them a test that I just ran for a client where we removed their hero banner and revenue increased by about $20,000 in 2 weeks. And I go, you would
hero banner was a guy.
That's exactly no, but here's what happens. Most of the time we have way too much crap on our website, and a lot of the stuff ends up sending people down a black hole, and they end up on a page where they're not as likely to convert as if we would have sent them somewhere else. So sometimes our hero banners are these like billboards for our business, and the billboard might say, check out our spring collection of products. And then you click on it and you're just on like a page with 500 products on it, right? Instead of saying, here's our 3 best-selling products, go check them out, right? And so sometimes our hero banners are so broad or are too generic that it's not resonating with our customers, or they're clicking on it, they're ending up on a collections page, and then they have to do a ton of work mentally to find a product that they actually want. And so then I might say, hey, you have this video on your homepage that is 3 minutes long. Your average time on the website is 1.5 minutes. Like, if somebody watches that video, by the time they're done, they're going to leave. And so let's test removing the video. We test removing the video. And again, so we'll have all these different variations. We remove things. Then we'll find out what's working and what's not. We're going to have some quick wins there where we can remove the stuff that's not working. And then guess what? The stuff that is working, if your hero banner is working, for example, if we remove it and conversion rates go down, then guess what? We move to step 2 of the process, which is refining the stuff that you have. So you cut out all the stuff that shouldn't be there. All you have left is the stuff that's working. Then you go in and you refine it. So what exactly should we say in our hero banner? Like, what value proposition should we mention about our business? Where should we link people to? And then in step 3 of my process, once we refined things and made them as good as they can possibly be, then we're going to start adding new things to the site. So now that we know a lot about your customers, now that we know what they want, we know what they don't want, let's test adding new features to help them get what they want, to get more of what they want. So that's kind of my 3-step process, and it always works. I've never had a client that I haven't been able to generate at least a 10% increase in conversion rates for.
Are there any industries that are more screwed up than others in terms of their existing websites?
It's not really by industry. It's more based off of how did they build their website. So typically the people that have the most screwed up websites are the people with the most creatives on their team. And so the reason I say that, it's not to say that creatives are bad, but creatives often make these best practice and big fluffy assumptions that people want all of this stuff. This is a best practice, therefore we should design our site like this. When in reality, it's like, there are no best practices on websites. Just because Apple's doing something on their website or Amazon doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Because guess what? Amazon and Apple's audiences are completely different. They already have brand recognition and you probably don't. I mean, there's all kinds of things that, even if you look at like your biggest competitor and you say, hey, these guys are crushing it, let's copy what they're doing. Their brand is different than yours. Their design is different than yours. They are targeting people differently. Their ads say different things. And so their consumers are in a different mindset when they get to their website than when they get to yours. And so there's no best practices. You can't just borrow what someone else is doing or borrow an industry suggestion and have it work always.
Have you ever been stumped where nothing worked?
So in those kind of situations when nothing works, or in other words, let's say that we go through and we remove everything on the homepage, right? We have a variation that removes everything, and all of the variations produce no impact.
Yeah.
Right? There's no lift and there's no decrease. In that kind of case, what that means is people don't care what you have on your homepage. And that's actually the worst outcome that you can possibly have. That almost never happens, but it's the worst outcome you can possibly have, because guess what? People don't care about the stuff that they have on our site. So what do they care about, right? That's the next question that you go and explore. But almost always, especially when we're removing things from the site, it's either going to be positive or negative, and both of those are a good result. If we remove something and conversion rates go down, we just learned for sure that thing should be there, and vice versa.
And so one of the things, that I'm a marketing messaging person, right? That's my job. So one of the things that I find with clients is that their messaging sucks because they have no
Oh yeah.
strategy. So they have
Yep.
no idea who their target should be. They have no idea what their niche is, and they don't have a niche, or they're generalists, or they're trying to describe an umbrella of things, and confused minds don't buy. So I know that when I work with, agencies, like that's their number one pain. What do you do when you get clients who are in that case, like what you said, nothing's helping them because they're so irrelevant, to anybody who's coming to their website? What do you do?
Yeah, so one of my categories of testing is we will test value propositions. So, I mean, you this is kind of what you do with, especially on the pitch side of things. It's like, what value proposition is going to hook somebody on your website? Just like you did with me on my pitch, where you're like, you need to throw out a specific value proposition in your pitch that's going to hook someone. Same thing on a website. What we're going to do is we're going to test 4 or 5 different versions of your landing page or your home page. And we're going to say, this one's going to focus on this value proposition. You save people money. This one's going to focus on this value proposition. Made in the USA. This one's going to focus on this value proposition that is all organic, all natural, whatever it is that your value proposition is. Then let's split traffic and let's find out which one. Let me tell you a story on this real quick. I had a client that was, they had a website where you could list and sell homes online. Mm-hmm. And so their home page, they had a video, a testimonial. And next to the video, they had a little excerpt that was something the person had said in their testimonial. And it said, awesome company, awesome service, awesome products, awesome everything, basically, right? Which is, I call that like a marketing fluff message, where it's not actually saying anything. It's just like, these guys are awesome, but it doesn't tell you why. And so I said, well, why did you guys put that one there? And they said, well, people don't really care where it's there anyways. They're gonna watch the video. And so I said, well, let's try it. Let's see what happens. So we ran a test just on the text next to the video. On the first variation, we talked about how you can save $15,000 by listing your home online, right? So money savings. We had a second variation where and this was all stuff that we pulled out of the video. We had a second one where they talked about how they picked up their phone and called their service rep at 11 p.m. at night, and the person picked up. We had another variation where they talked about how fast you can sell your home. And so we tested all of these against each other. And so first of all, it was very interesting to see all of these variations had very, very different results. The variation that ended up winning, I thought was going to be the one that mentioned how you could save $15,000, because that's a really tangible value to me as a customer. That was not the winner by a long shot. The one that actually won was when they said, I picked up the phone at 11 p.m. and somebody picked up. That's what people care. And this generated a 26% lift in customer acquisition. So this was a massive impact. And so as soon as we find something like that, we've found out what matters to our audience. It's actually not the money. I mean, and there's probably, it's an aspect, but that's not their biggest hook. They want to know that you care about them, that you're personal, that, that they can rely on you to give them a good quality experience. And so for that customer in that situation, we learned something major about their audience. So that's what we do. If we find that nothing on the website is working, then we're going to kind of take a step back and say, let's find out what value propositions matter to people here.
Love that. I love that you do that. I love that. So the way that we do it is we do it before anybody even starts web development or starts web redevelopment. And because it's not just your web messaging, it's your elevator pitch, it's your, sales presentation, it's everything.
Your ad copy, yep.
Your social media, everything. So what we do is we do what you do, but in personal interviews and with high-level decision makers in different industries. So those conversations actually not only tell us what the value proposition, they literally ask them, if you had one last dollar to spend, would you spend it on this kind, or this kind of problem? And then they tell us what is the most expensive problem. And then we actually convert those one-on-ones into a sales meeting. So it's brilliant what you're doing, but we're doing it on a before you come on the scene. The people that have hired you is because they never did any type of strategy work because they didn't know. If you don't know, right? Most people, they just throw spaghetti at the wall and they decide that's going to be my target. That's going to be my niche. They don't even know about niching. So I love what you're doing. I am so, okay. So tell our fans how they can get in touch with you.
So my website is smart-cro.com. I do free website audits for people. So I'll go through and just kind of do a quick strategy session and say, here are the major areas that we'll want to test, right? Like if you're wanting to improve conversion rates, these are likely going to be the areas that you want to look at. And so, if somebody wants to reach out, you can go to my website and fill out my form, and I'd be happy to do a website audit with people. I'm also on social media. If somebody wants to reach out with a question, I'm on a few social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn. You can look for Chris Dayley. My last name is Dayley, or I'm on Twitter. And I don't have Facebook or Instagram. So if you find Chris Dayley on there, it's not me.
Is Facebook and Instagram too old school now?
They're not. I've never had Facebook and Instagram, actually. I've never created an account.
Oh my God, that is interesting. Because my mother's on, those platforms, just so you know. You've chosen.
Well, they have like 2 billion people.
Yeah, they don't need you. They're fine. Thanks so much.